we're getting into Dying Light because Dying Light the Beast is coming out soon, and for some reason, they decided to give it out for free for those who bought the deluxe edition of Dying Light 2. I did that like 4 years ago, like 3 years ago, whenever Dying Light 2 like came out. So yeah, apparently I got the Beast for free, so we're gonna build up to that, and I figured we'd play this, then we'd play the following, then we'd play Dying Light 2, and then we'd play the Beast. I don't really know if we need to play Dying Light 2 at all for the Beast. The Beast seems like a continuation of Kyle Crane's story from what I've read. I don't really know how far that goes in terms of like, do we need to play 2 for the Beast to be a thing? I'm not sure. But either way, we're gonna jump in here and get going. Sasquatch. It's time for Sasquatch. Yeah. Hey, Andrew. Oh, sorry, Andy the Cleric. I need to identify you as your given name. Alright. Because I like playing the game on a higher difficulty, I think we might play hard. Not Nightmare, but I think we'd play on hard just to have the bonuses of certain things. Maybe Dying Light 2 is the DS2 of this series. Andrew is fine. Yeah. Also, let me know if the game's too loud. I've been seeing balancing issues across different runs of the game. Or different things. I always like the world building opening. Especially when you drop down, you can actually see the map of the world. And it's a real map. That beautiful world. We'll be down there soon. Be down there very soon. Yeah, so one thing I've been curious about is if we actually need to play Dying Light 2 in order to understand the events of Dying Light the Beast, because the Beast description so far from what I've seen on the Steam page is largely relevant to Dying Light 1 and the following. I haven't heard anything about Dying Light mattering, like, at all.
I'm looking for the
or Dying Light 2 mattering at all to that game.
You're 31.
Yeah, Andrew, to go back to your comment about Dying Light 2 being the DS2 of this series, after playing it in my initial playthrough, I kind of felt that way. It felt like a really weird sequel that made a lot of steps back.
Many people die.
I hope the Beast is their opportunity to learn from it. Especially because I was ready to give up on the Dying Light series after 2, right? So the fact that they gave the Beast away might be a bad sign, or might be a good sign. I don't know. It depends on how good the Beast actually is.
Train here.
Hands on some antizin ASAP.
Help! Help! Somebody!
What the hell?
I always found it funny how this guy's voice does not sound like whatever the screamer was, like the person that yelled for help. I always found that to be a weird sort of like,
Easy, easy.
can you just get the guy in here to do like a quick yell of help?
This is Crane. I'm down here.
I want to get some of that Sunny D that's in the tub over there. Can't wait to get back out into the wide world, get things rolling. It's gonna be such a nostalgia trip playing this game, just because now that I think about it, I played this game in 2015 when it came out. This is gonna be a weird sort of 10-year anniversary event in a weird way. In a strange roundabout way. I've always wondered what you would be able to cobble together if you just took like an apartment building and you just put an entire zombie story in that apartment building and tried to like think of sort of like what kind of story could you tell if you purposely put yourself in a situation where you lock down a building and the entire story had to take place in a building in a zombie apocalypse? I always wonder how good of a story you can get out of really restricted stories like that, where you have to rely on characters and stuff as opposed to like spectacle and other things. My favorite sort of section of the game is when you initially, it's like when the tutorial ends all the way up to sort of the ending of the slums bit. That's probably my favorite part of the game, just because it's so focused on dealing with the zombie threat, and you've gotten the best level in the game in terms of the slums. It's always kind of weird to me how the game takes kind of a not like a nosedive, but it goes down in quality somewhat when you get to the second half. I mean, I mentioned this in my commentary, but the side content really does shine in terms of world building, in terms of different mechanical things you have to do, and different ways that they highlight problems associated with zombie apocalypses. You know, that span outside of just the zombies existing and being a threat, you know. Was tempted to buy it to give a go, but Starfield and the Oblivion remaster caught me first. Watched maybe the first 2 or 3 VODs of Dying Light 2 on your gaming channel. Oh yeah. I mean, if you saw the first 2 or 3 videos, then you probably have a good idea of how Dying Light 2 is. It's a very grade B sort of game in terms of the way everything kind of changes from this game to that game. I want to get that trophy, but it doesn't count the points the trophies give you until after you complete, like, the tutorial bit. Which is a little annoying. I enjoyed it when it came out, so not too fussed.
Watch this.
See, I bought it. I bought Starfield, played about half an hour of it, and I was just like, I wasn't feeling it, and so I just uninstalled it. And then later on, I found out about the whole, like, pronoun rant and then everything associated with the game. And plus, it seems to have just disappeared from the, you know, from the, I don't know what you call it, like the gaming sphere. Like, it came out, everyone had their opinions on it, and then everyone just kind of moved on. Like, I never hear about Starfield anymore, except in a bad way. The as pronoun rant was hilarious. Indeed it was, and very poignant. One thing I was not a fan of in this, one thing I'm not a fan of in games in general is when they give you a tutorial where you should be getting XP points for things, and then you don't, just because the game hasn't introduced XP points yet.
Okay, time for the real test.
I've always found that sort of thing really annoying across different games. The first time I played it, I had Game Pass, so it didn't cost me anything. I had a lot of fun with it, and replaying, I'm still having fun. Other than pronouns, there's not much compared to other games to promote the message. The message. I can't do a good drinker impression. I heard it was just sort of a generic, like, Bethesda game, where it's like, if you like it, you're gonna like it. If you're not gonna like it, you're just not gonna like it. It's one of those binary things that's kind of, sort of a letdown from what it promised, I think. I can, being Scottish. Yes, you can. You're one genome closer to drinker than I am. Really bugging me, there's one game bad for tutorial XP, and I can't remember it now. There's plenty of candidates. And this game is kind of one, because the first bit is, you don't hardly get anything besides survivor points.
Raheem, what the fuck?
It's time we get out into the world and prove ourselves. This is one thing that I always found kind of funny about this game, is how you can abuse the AI in certain ways. Like most games, not perfect, has little exploits here and there, but still pretty fun. We really need the drop attack. The drop attack is a game changer of an ability. This is one thing about the higher difficulties, that a lot of these sequences become, like, the infected become more sort of, I say spongy, but at the same time they give more XP because they're more spongy, right? And so you get this weird balance effect of different difficulties give you different levels of, like, weapon XP. Parkour and survivor skills largely remain the same. It's just the power skill gets a weird sort of scaling depending on difficulty. It's like things are harder, but the rewards are also better. There's one pretty... there's a lot of good farming spots around, if you know what you're doing. Between some of the environmental traps that you can trigger. There's one area we'll say, or see... there's one area we will see later where we can turn on a trap and lure a bunch of zombies into, like, a electronic trap. Or an electricity trap, and that'll... instigate getting XP points for power and agility. I don't know why we get agility for that, but it's a weird sort of bonus effect that we get. It's fun to go back to this game. I need to go back through a lot of the older games that I've played, because there's just a lot of stuff that I really enjoy about a lot of these older games. And it's kind of weird saying this game's older, even though, because I mean, it is a decade old at this point. That's weird to think about. I mean, I've been having the itch to play the Wind Waker again. I mean, with how much drama you hear about new games, it's nice to go back to simpler times when things weren't crazy. And games were about having fun, not spreading the message. Well, it was very controversial for its design compared to Ocarina, yet now it's timeless because it wasn't trying to fit trends of the time. That's true. It's that sort of difference between good controversy versus bad controversy, right? You know, like going between something that's controversial because it innovates in a new way and challenges the norm versus just making something that just shouldn't include X, Y, or Z stuff in it to begin with. One thing I always found funny is how when the zombies die, to, like, save resources for the game, they turn them into these little, like, cocaine packs. I have no idea why they turn them into these little packs. Like, and why they have... They look like the type of thing you see in Breaking Bad. Right, just a pack of cocaine wrapped in a bag. I don't know why that is. I believe that Dying Light is still worth the price, even nowadays. But, I can understand people not wanting to pay, like, full price for a game that's 10 years old. Any thoughts on Borderlands 4? I know you're a simp for that series. I'm more morbidly curious than anything else at this point. It's not really that I care about it particularly, just because I... Like, if you want a very quick rundown on my opinions of the Borderlands games, at least sort of like the main ones. 1 is okay. 2 is great. The pre-sequel sucks. 3 is a very mixed bag. And Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was fun, but sort of unnecessary. So it's a very weird franchise to be a part of. Like, to have any sort of, like, opinion of. The president of the company had some controversial remarks about their pricing for the new game. Ooh, are they going to do the $70 thing? Are they going to mark it up? Just because other games have been doing that? I mean, I'm kind of at the point where I don't really care about Borderlands 4 in any real capacity, just because I didn't like where 3 left off. And come to think about it, I didn't even really like most of the story beats in 3. But it's a really weird thing. It's like, I like the mechanics of the games, like, as they've gone on. The story absolutely peaked with 2, and it's sort of been a downhill slide since then. And it's just made me more annoyed over time. He said $80, and that real fans will pay it, essentially. That is just out of touch. Just full stop. I mean, if that's just the game, right? Base game, right? No additional inclusions, no, like, season pass stuff. If that is just the raw game, that sucks. See, like, it's sort of inevitable that prices for games will go up just because of inflation and things like that. Like, you know, prices hardly ever actually go down, like, for an extended period of time. But, I mean, we're already creeping up to $70. Calm the fuck down. About $80. Calm down about $80. I'll find the article and stick it in the Discord. That'd be good. That'd be good. That'd be fun to, like, go over some, like, gaming news on a stream one day. That'd be fun. One thing I did like a lot about Dying Light, and the other game, Dying Light 2 as well, is you can find little snacks around the world to heal yourself. I always thought that was a neat little... It's sort of a neat little gimmick that is sort of a callback to Dead Island. And I like that. Just a thought, but how do you feel revisiting games that you did a Road Commander playthrough getting to max level? Let's see. How does it feel to revisit them, just in general? It's kind of fun, because when you go through, like, the Road to Commander thing, it's essentially you max out your time with that game, because usually by the time you get to that sort of point where you've maxed out everything, you've played the living shit out of the game to the point that you would hopefully know it inside and out. You know, and you have a pretty good grasp on the good and the bad in the game. So it's fun to revisit games like that, because now you've got sort of ultra experience with it. I do occasionally get flashbacks of the Road to Commander stuff, because like, it's one of those funny things. During the Road to Commander for Dying Light, at the sort of, like, end of it, when I was doing the farming for the whatchamacallit, the care package stuff that was in that are in the quarantine zones. When I was doing them, I remember, well, I've got sort of two sort of musical memories tied to Dying Light. One of them is listening to Dream Theater's song, or album, Scenes from a Memory. And the song Beyond This Life, for some reason, is vividly stuck in my head while grinding zombies at night on the bridge in Dying Light. I don't know why that specifically, but that specific memory has stuck for a long time. For no real reason. Like, nothing eventful happened in that moment. It was just, I was listening to this song at this time, and that's it. And then for the Road to Commander grind, I was listening to a lot of Bullet for My Valentine at the time. So I've got that sort of on the brain, you know, thinking about that stuff. So it's got a weird... You've got this thing where you've got so much experience about the challenge, but then you've got a sort of, like, pseudo PTSD as well, where you just have memories kind of flooding back. This is one thing I did like about the higher difficulties in this game, is how you could, like, the game would continue to run even while you're in the crafting menu, which means that you can wait for things to happen while you're crafting shit. Whereas the base difficulty has you, like, you know, you have to have, you know, you can't have your menu open while people are talking. It's time for the greatest section of gameplay in the Dying Light series, GRE calls. I really hate these GRE calls. You just sit there and talk and can't move or do anything. It's just annoying. Oh, one thing I need to mention as well, Andrew, is given how much content is in Dying Light and The Following and Dying Light 2, I'm probably going to have to break these up where I kind of pre-record some things and release them during the week, just so I can kind of keep progress going here. So what I'm thinking is I might do a stream or two on the weekends like I normally do, and then maybe drop an episode of this in the middle of the week, just to kind of keep the progress up, since I know I've basically got about roughly 2 months to get through this game, its DLC, and Dying Light 2. And Dying Light 2 is massive. It's got so much stuff in the game to cover, assuming the game works now. I've heard the game has had some technical improvements since I complained about them years ago, so we'll see how that does. You do you. They seem pretty content heavy. Yeah, these games are pretty content heavy in terms of just sheer stuff to do, and that's not even including, like, me doing this, like the grinding on top of all this other stuff. It is kind of funny how both games don't really have enough stuff for you to max out your stats. Or not even max out your stats, like get the basic stat fully upgraded by the end of the game. Because I remember I completed Dying Light 2 without having the agility and power trees fully upgraded. And if you play Dying Light as efficiently as possible to get what you need done, you can also reach the end of the game without actually maxing out either tree as well. It's a weird kind of experience. Like, you think, like, my philosophy with, like, XP in games is you should be able to get as much XP to the players as possible within a single run where they are maxed out and then some. Like, there should be an over, like, not an overclocking, but like an over, like, you should have more than enough XP across all the quests and encounters. If you have to repeat stuff, I think that's when you start getting into the realm of, like, okay, this game might be a little too grindy. Now, in a game like, you know, now given the fact that this game has a New Game Plus, you can make an argument against what I said, where it's like you're not supposed to be fully upgraded by the time you get to New Game Plus, but I think that's sort of like a very gray area argument that we can go back and forth on for days. It also depends on the game. But here we are, just whacking zombies. This is just so ingrained in my DNA after doing it for so many hours. It's weird. Also, I got a bunch of highlights edited from some of the previous stuff we've been doing on ESAS. I got the highlights done for the Shadow of the Erd Tree initial playthrough, running through the Dark Souls trilogy. I also got the Soma playthrough edited, or the highlights for that edited. Also got the highlights for the Doom trilogy edited. So I feel pretty good. I'm caught up on highlights, so I've got highlights to sort of stick in places where when I can't stream. So there will always be something coming out. I try to keep the sludge flowing. One thing I kind of appreciate that's a minor thing, but just the fact that they bothered to animate like their character stooping down to loot stuff is a nice detail. The night mission.
Shit. Okay.
Night mission. What does the mission mean? What does the mission mean, Crane? It's kind of sad when I think about, like, memes from, like, circa 2010. And it's like, man, these gaming memes are well in the minds of people that sort of grew up in that era, but they're just going to age like... Or they're not even really going to age like milk. They're going to age like a rock, right? Like, they're going to just weather over time, and they're going to be this weird thing that younger generations of gamers just aren't going to get because they weren't there. You know? They just won't get it. They won't get what do the numbers mean jokes and everything. The thing I wonder about is when we're going to get to the point where you know, these companies that make these massive games start just remastering old ones and like hardcore remaster them, not reboot them, you know? Like, can you imagine
Contraption you got here.
how well a like classic Call of Duty reboot would do if they just took everything from the games, just reamped them with better graphics, and just released them that way? Like, no censorship, no changes to them mechanically, just did a mass graphical update to COD 4, World at War, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2. I feel like they would unironically do really well, and people would actually have a blast playing them. I feel like it would be one of those situations where just people would be happy with them. Seen a meme today pointing out that Black Ops 2 is no longer futuristic. Yeah. Yeah, well, doesn't that kind of ruin like stuff like Back to the Future as well? Like, wasn't the future in Back to the Future set for like 2022 or something? I've never seen the movies, but like I've always found that sort of thing where, you know, when they look at the future, oh, look at this advanced future in 2018 where we're gonna have hover cars and shit. It's like, no, we just point memes at each other and call each other slurs. We just, you know, instead of the age of like futuristic technology and culture, we've reached the age of narcissism and gaslighting. Only ever played COD 3, so don't really have any investment in those games myself. That's fair enough. Call of Duty is a weird series. It's one of those things where they've got so many different games that branch off in different directions that it sort of becomes difficult to manage, like, you know, like, where do you start? You know? Yeah. I mean, for me, I grew up with sort of the... I mean, I was sort of like the younger generation as Call of Duty was starting to sort of reach its peak and then phase out. Like, I was in middle school when Black Ops and Modern Warfare 3 came out, so like it's... Or I was getting ready to go into high school when that stuff was coming out, so it's like a really weird thing of... I got in kind of late to the party. And then after replaying the games, like as an adult, and like getting mods to make the multiplayer work... it was actually a lot of fun going back through those, like, you know, there's a simple satisfaction when you know that you can just get on this shooter, sit down for like an hour, go through like maybe 5 or 6 matches, and just have fun just shooting stuff and blowing up stuff. It's a very simple sort of satisfaction that we don't get a lot of today. The real future is phones getting very small until the point where porn can be viewed on a phone, then screens suddenly started getting bigger. Yeah. Watching phones get smaller and smaller and then get bigger and bigger has been a very funny period in like technological history. It's like we spent so long trying to get things as small and compact as possible that we end up expanding upon them again. It's a weird experience being on the internet and like seeing people's sort of, well, being on the internet and interacting with people that are outside of my sort of like world, right? Which is kind of just a generic like, oh, I never saw things from this perspective until da-da-da. But it's like, it's interesting to see people's differing perspectives on what sort of classics are to them. You know, like I was never into like Mario or like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, but my wife had those in her household growing up. You know, and so that's like a weird thing where, you know, we've been kind of getting things set up to go back and play some of those older sort of like fighting games and like older, I don't know what you would call Mario as like a game. I guess it would be a platformer, like 2D platformer. But it's interesting to hear people's different perspectives and try out different games, which is fun. And I think that is one thing the internet has done well, is it's sort of forced us to, well, not forced us, it's sort of, well, it's given us a very heavy-handed way to expand our horizons, depending on what you want to do. Which I think is a good thing in the long term. It's bad, though, given that some people are just crazy on the internet and can't do anything. But it's very weird. It's weird being on the internet and seeing different things. The internet brings out everything in humanity, and that can either be a good thing or a bad thing. Oh, shit. Damn. That was a bad environmental placement on my part. I should have directed him elsewhere. She would be proud. I died. But yeah, it's like my sort of first console thing was weird because the first thing we got where we actually played video games on was like a PC because we'd play World of Warcraft. My brother and I would play World of Warcraft with our dad. And then we'd play like Game Boy. Like we each had our own individual Game Boys. And then we made the jump to PlayStation 2, and then shortly after went to PlayStation 3. So we missed like a whole like set of consoles and stuff. I find myself physically moving backward in my like chair every time I like dodge backwards. One thing I found funny about this game as well is just how the zombies sort of level up. Like, you can tell what level a zombie, like a basic zombie is, based on the number of clothing they have on. It's like the more clothing they have, the higher level they are. Which is kind of funny, because I guess that there's some societal commentary in that somewhere. I wonder what EFAP's going to cover today, because I know Ironheart just came out, and I've seen some people talking about it on Open Bar, and it's like, it sounds like one of those shows that's so bad, it's sort of, like, it might creep into good, based on how, like, terrible it is. But I don't know. It seems like Ironheart's just a real, to quote her, a real bish. Because apparently she can't fucking speak. State of Decay 2 was my main zombie game I got into. It's not a bad one to get into. I mean, I've always talked about how I would really love sort of the State of Decay base management mixed in with the Dying Light sort of like combat and Resident Evil type of like mixture of gunplay, melee play, and crafting. I think that would be a really cool game, like hybrid, you know, where you actually have like the logistics of managing a settlement, you know, but you also have the in-depth combat mechanics that you can get with the Dying Light sort of melee system and, you know, just other, you know, just make a more well-rounded zombie game other than sort of the one gimmick that tends to appear over and over. You know, like a lot of zombie games have like 2 or 3 gimmicks that they work with, you know. I think we have yet to make the perfect zombie game in terms of every aspect. I think a lot of good ones exist, but the perfect one would be my mixture of those things. I watched Drinker and Nerdrotic cover Iron Shart, yeah. I'm still baffled they released it. It really is a villain origin story. Yeah, from everything I've seen, like, Ironheart as a character is just an actual villain who, like, thinks she's a hero. And it's that same sort of deluded shit that's plagued a lot of other stuff. Unapologetic, but Telltale, The Walking Dead Season 1 leading into Season 2 is peak.
Something bad happened.
I don't know enough about that to really comment on it, but if it's good, good. I like good. Good is good. Herper offline mode, because I'm a lonely fuck. I kind of want to keep it that way. When someone says you're lonely, I simply say I'm not lonely. I'm self-efficient. Or some other sad phrase. It's what The Last of Us should have aimed for, but Cuckman can't do it. Yeah. I mean, one thing is just, like, it bothers me so much how you have good ideas that get squandered by just idiots. It's also funny how so many things just sort of fall apart between different creative individuals because they are not aware whatsoever of the thing they create. Like, they're so... It's like they're so up their own ass that they can't see what they're doing. and I never understand that. You know, it's like when you make a character... Like Ironheart's a really good example, right? Like, if you make a character that lies, cheats, and steals when she's, like, a genius, and she gets into MIT, right? It's like you're not making... You're making a narcissistic prick... right, that feels like the world owes her something. You're not making an endearing character that has, like, learned from... You know, like, beginning as Ironheart's character, right, is like a starting point that you can turn into a hero, but you have to have the hero learn a lesson, right? And it just seems like that ain't gonna happen, you know, with that specifically anyway. But yeah, going back to the Ironheart thing, though, well, it doesn't really relate to Ironheart specifically, but I've sort of gotten to the point where I've got too many streams to watch, so I don't even watch Nerdrotic and drinkers mainline videos anymore. Just because they'll probably talk about it on Open Bar or F&T, you know, and I've gotten to the point of where I just have to skip over stuff, otherwise I'm just not going to catch up. You know, just between all the different streams I watch, because I got back into... watching Kirsche, because I dropped out for a little while, and then I got back, and then, you know, she had a load of drama surrounding her, which I was like, oh, damn. I came back at a good time. Failed hit pieces and all kinds of other shit. It's a good time. Good time to watch the people that I watch stream. Part of me is very tempted to try to go to the bridge, to cross the bridge to that one encampment, and then just loot the shit out of it, because there's just tons of infected there to kill, and there's tons of loot over there to grab for medkits. Tons of it. You know, but one thing I do want to do is I want to get the next sort of stage of this quest over with. So I want to get the first assignment stuff done, because once that's done, then we have sort of a true free reign, where we can actually go around the map, unlock safe houses, and do, like, more important shit than just mainline quest stuff. This is one thing I also like about the game, is how they give you a bunch of supplies every day. It's helpful for dealing with different challenges you may see. Also gives you a little bit of a leg up on things in a way that sort of diegetically fits the world.
Mission failed.
I wonder if they'll bring back the voice actor for Crane, because I don't think they used him since Dying Light the Following, which I think came out in 2016, so I have no idea if he's even still around. I cannot wait to do my little boosty slide in this little area. It'll be great. That'd be an interesting kind of warfare in the post-apocalyptic world of, you know, you have people that create medicine, and then you have people that create fake medicine. And they give, like, fake treatments to people, and it causes different issues. So sort of like it's like a small-scale bioterrorism type of thing. I am not a fan of the human enemy combat. It's very inconsistent with who can hit who.
Rice's place is over here. Just find out what this will cost us and come back in one piece.
I like how the detail that map is real. That's an actual map of the game, and that's an accurate location to where Rice is. There's a bunch of little details that just work really well in this game.
If you can get in there and restore the power after it's dark, we can fry a whole lot of freaks in one shot.
After dark, that's gonna be a lot dicier.
Sure. That's why no one's volunteered for this job. But I'm thinking maybe you're a bit tougher than the rest of these guys. Just an impression.
Let's just say I'm here to help.
Really? Good intentions, huh? Hope you've got some guts, or you won't last long.
I like his little manipulation there. It's like, I thought you were cool. It was just an impression, though. Just kind of gaslighting Crane into doing what they need. And also, I've been thinking about it more, and I'm not sure if I'm going to worry too much about maxing out skills as far as, like, progression goes, just because, I mean, I've already played the crap out of the game. I know how the mechanics work. You know, I know how, you know, I know, right? Like, I know enough. I don't need to worry about a bunch of excessive, like, shit in this game. When we get to Dying Light 2, that's where things are going to get kind of weird and messy, because I'm not going to be sure about some stuff, because that game I played pretty much on launch, and I don't know how it's been changed since then. I played it, like, basically during the month of its launch, and I have no idea what happened to it afterwards. So I've got no idea what they've changed, if they've ironed out a lot of bugs, or if they've, you know, I don't know what they've done with the game since I last played it. And frankly, my opinion was very negative of it last time I played it, so here's hoping that it redeems itself over time. Because Dying Light 1 was a lot of fun the first time. It has its issues, but Dying Light 2 was not a lot of fun. It was very frustrating to deal with different things. We're gonna move forward with checking Rice out and just sitting around while he does things, because a lot of his cutscenes involve us just standing there and letting him rant for however long. It's not particularly engaging. I also have no idea how long it's going to take us to get through these games before the Beast comes out, because if I manage to get like a 4-hour stream in or like a 4-hour recording in, like every like 2 to 3 days, I think we might be able to finish Dying Light and get most of the way through 2. One thing I do wonder about Dying Light is, as well as why they bother having the loading screen text be like its own sort of thing, because it seems like a weird thing where you would only need it if you're not paying attention to the game while playing it, which would usually mean that you're probably not actually like playing the game correctly if you're not paying attention to what's going on. It's a strange sort of situation. I wonder if you'll break if I just chuck you. Did it just... Will this just respawn infinitely? Yeah, it will. Wow. One of my favorite encounters in the game is when you save a random survivor and then they run off into a group of zombies and die. It's one of the things that brings me a little bit of joy, just because it's like, I saved you, you gave me your loot, and then you ran off and died, so it's not even on my conscience. Idiots in a zombie apocalypse are very weird in terms of if they're going to be useful to you or not. One thing I've always found weird about this ferry station is that there's not a whole lot that happens at the ferry station. Like, there are hardly any quests that take you there. You basically wake up there once after a certain quest happens in the main line, and that's kind of it. I hate this element of Rice's character. He's such a pseudo-philosophical dickbag that just needs to be shot in the head as soon as he starts spouting his shit. Rice is easily the worst part of this game. One thing that always kind of stuck out to me because of this whole situation, right? If one zombie had a few people trapped, that makes me assume that there was one room with like a door shut. You know, like take this apartment for example, right? Like if one zombie is in here, right, and people are trapped, right? I would assume that like maybe the zombie's in this hallway, in these 2 rooms, and this room's blocked, right? But that means the zombie's like locked in. Like the zombie can't get to anybody, right? Unless there's just nobody in there at all besides like a kid or someone too weak to be able to handle a zombie. It just seems like you should have been able to control that situation. It's just a weird situation that with the dialogue around this sort of encounter. Like it's they should have put a little bit more work into making the dialogue feel like things spread rapidly as opposed to one zombie getting out of hand and nobody was able to deal with it when this place is full of people that have learned how to survive in a zombie apocalypse. It's a stretch of logic.
Raheem, what are you doing up here?
Hey, Crane.
Wasting beer alone where I can fall off the roof like a dumbass because that's my character. I'm a dumbass.
Or not, what's team? Shit, oh my... don't drop me. Don't drop me.
It'd be a lot easier if he just let him fall to his death than let him enact his stupid plan. It's one of those things with his character in this game particularly where it's like he always complains about wanting to do more, but we never really see him doing anything besides sulking. And so it feels like he's either too lazy to do anything actually worthwhile, or he's just really bad at the things he does try to do. So either way, I'm kind of like, you probably shouldn't be able to do anything because of how incompetent you are. I'm pretty sure this quest marker over here just leads us to another area to do quest stuff. That's one thing I'm not a fan of in games, is when you have quest markers that lead you to other quests. They're not actually quests, it's just, hey, have you seen this thing? I should do like a Halloween special where I play like a horror game that I've loved for a long time and just crank the darkness up. Just have like a playthrough of like Dead Space 2 or Alien Isolation or something with just max darkness. That'd be fun. Maybe a fun Halloween thing. But I'm gonna be pretty busy this Halloween with things. Oh yeah, this guy required... Yeah, now I remember. This was like the only quest over here. This is one thing that always annoys me about a lot of games, is the arbitrary restriction of like not doing stuff. It's like, I can obviously tell where the flowers are. I can obviously see them. Why can't I pick them up? You know, it's just, they're right there, man. They're right there. It's always fun when the game uses, like, the in-game, like, effects to make the cutscenes work the way they do. Because if you do this in daytime, it looks like daytime. But at nighttime, it looks, you know, like nighttime.
Shit.
That's a cool thing that I like about some games, how the cutscenes are not like a hard limit on this is exactly when you're supposed to do this quest. Or when you're supposed to get this cutscene. It's like, this is like a... I forget what it's called. I think it's in-game cutscenes. Cutscenes, I think, is what it's called. This is one thing, right? I gotta wonder how this stuff happened, right? Like, how does this even happen?
Give me a hand here, would you?
Yeah, sure.
God, Crane, you're such an oaf. Why don't you just stick your head out the door and shout, "Here we are, come get us"?
Hey, sometimes there's nothing wrong with the direct approach.
Holy shit.
I like how she was trying to open it with the two straps there. It's like, I don't think you're going to be able to undo that. Like, Crane made the smart decision here. You're the one that looks like a dumbass here.
Okay, listen. I'll give the explosives to Saeed and you talk to Rahim. Make sure he stays away from that hive.
Will do, don't worry.
Yep, because that's my job as the random guy that's new to the tower, not the big sister of the two of them. Yeah. That's my responsibility as a total third party that just got into the Haran madness and doesn't really have any real connection to them. Yeah, like, it's my... I know I'm laboring the point, but, like, it's one of the more annoying aspects of the story. Just Jade is built up to be this very competent fighter and stuff like that, and yet she makes a lot of really dumb decisions. And so does her brother, and they're just sort of there to be sympathy farms for when they inevitably die. And it's really done badly. It's done really badly. Really badly. Rahim, I need to scold you for your stupid plan. Come here. It really seems like he doesn't do shit in the tower sometimes, because he spends most of the quest line just up here.
Crane.
And before we do anything here, I'm gonna steal all the crayons. I'm sorry I'm not saying much during this. It's just I've already done a walkthrough of this. I've done a Road to Commander on this. I've done a commentary on this, right? I've basically covered all I want to cover about this, except for the little random things that I feel like bringing up at the time. So there's just not a whole lot to say about the game at this point from my perspective, because I've already sort of said it all. And I'm mainly playing this and uploading it just for additional context for when we get to the beast.
You found...
Where are you going? I command you to stay! You cannot resist my will! You are my pawn! You must do as I say!
This must be how a feminist thinks whenever you tell her, hey, I think you're fat and ugly. This is one of the biggest sections of the game where I'm just kind of like, I don't really care. Like, this is one of those sections where I just kind of get annoyed because it's so story heavy and it's just... You know, we're just watching an idiot be an idiot and get himself killed, and then we watch Jade, who's being irresponsible, also be an idiot by not securing the explosives in any way. It's just... It's a whole lot of bad writing on top of each other in just one short little sequence. This is one of those things, right? This game sort of broke one of the golden rules of don't do this. You know? Like, one of the biggest rules I've found in writing is, there's like a handful of things that you do not do with writing. There's a handful of things. One of the biggest ones is, don't create a stupid character whose only purpose is to be stupid in a story. It will only serve to frustrate your audience, because you just inserted an idiot to let things happen. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying... is just one of the golden rules of writing is don't do anything that's just going to frustrate your audience, right? Because that's just, it doesn't matter if you're intentionally doing it or not. What matters is that, you know, you've done something that makes the audience be like, oh, fuck you, right? You want to avoid oh, fuck you moments in your story. This is one of those moments where you're just going oh, fuck you over and over and over just because you need to facilitate the plot moving. Yeah, this whole sequence is just a series of this character didn't do this thing because they were an idiot, which facilitated this other character that was an idiot, which facilitates this thing, which facilitates all these other issues that cause the plot to move forward, right? It's sort of a compounding issue of you made your characters idiots just to make the plot move. You know, and even if you set up something like Rahim being an impulsive idiot, right? If you make him an impulsive idiot, you also have Jade have to be an idiot for not securing the explosives in a more meaningful way than simply, you know, giving them to someone and not telling Raheem about them, right? Like it's a layered thing where when you make idiots cause the plot to move forward, it feels like you've got an idiot plot. Yeah, it's one of the weird things where, like, certain quests along the main chain of this game are just really annoying to deal with because of X, Y, or Z. This is one of those stories that's really annoying because of the characterization involved. You know, it's like Raheem's extremely impulsive and an idiot, which is sort of set up. But then Jade acts like an idiot, which seems like a meta, like she's an idiot in a meta sense. Because the writers clearly don't think she's an idiot. Because she's never portrayed as an idiot. Right? So it's sort of a thing where Raheem's idiocy is set up, but his idiocy is brought about by Jade being an idiot as well. By not securing the explosives in a more concrete way than, you know, I mean, all she had to say was, don't give these explosives to Raheem. Right? To the guy who is, like, in charge of the explosives. Or she could have said, you know, the only person that can access these explosives are me or Brecken. And we have to do it face to face. You know, something like that. All she had to do was that. And that would prevent Raheem from getting the explosives and doing the shit he does, which inadvertently causes his death and Omar's death. Not to mention Jade being emotionally distant from Crane, which in a roundabout way causes her to get captured. And, you know, it leads to issues, right? And it leads to issues because one character was set up to be an idiot and the other just randomly became an idiot, which facilitates the other idiot to do idiotic things. It's just a long idiot chain of problems. And that's why it's one of the quests that it's one reason why I don't like the Aldemirs in this game. They're very, very poorly thought out.
I trusted him. I trusted him with those explosives. God, maybe if I didn't leave him there, he'd still be alive.
This is another problem too, right?
Jade.
This scene does not work.
Jade, God damn it!
Just give her time.
This is one thing, right? This scene does not work, right? It's just like, it's a fundamentally like broken scene because Crane did not give the explosives to Raheem in any capacity. He told him to stay away. Jade didn't secure them. It's Jade's fault, and the writers just completely fucking forget that. This is one thing too, man, just replaying the game is like the missions like this, like they start out fun, and then when they take all of your shit away, it gets kind of annoying because it's like, I customized all this gear, and it's gonna be thrown away for the next sequence. You know, that kind of stuff in video games really annoys me, where it's like you have to use the gimmick of the fight, right? Like you have to be depowered for this fight to work. It's like, but I'm not depowered though. You let me have so much shit. I hate this monologue too. It's just this whole Rice being the guy that speaks truth to power and that kind of element is just such an annoying gimmick in this story.
That is what you Americans are so good at, after all. If I... Not bad. Clear out the corpses. Leave Crane. Yes, sir.
And what did that accomplish? You killed 2 of your men. That's it. Rice is such a terrible villain. He really is just such a piece of just... He is a garbage person and a garbage character and a garbage villain. It's just terrible. And he won't shut up either. It's the worst combination.
What are you swine waiting for? Shoot him!
What's Crane waiting for too? The fact that they can't hit a guy this close. There's a lot of contrived bullshit in Siblings and the Pit. Now, I didn't test it, but I wonder if you're supposed to, like, be on a timer with this little bit, where you're, like, depowered and slowed, or if there's supposed to be, like, something else that's going on. Because one thing I found is that it seems like it's a directional thing, where, depending on where you're at, is when, like, when this shit happens. It's like a range thing as opposed to a timer. I mean, one thing too, this is just an annoying sequence where it's like, you're depowered and slow, and all you have to do is go from point A to point B, but you're not going to make it to point B, So it's one of those things where it's like, you're just making me wander around. You're just making me walk a little ways instead of just giving us a cutscene of us fainting or something. But like, all this is better served as like a quick flash of cutscenes, and then we're back at the tower. That is preferable to just slowly wandering in a direction with none of our gear while dealing with zombie threats. It's like, it's just a bad sequence. I also have no idea how we ended up on the other side of the fucking map. That's one of the weirder moments of this whole game. It's like, we start on the western side of the map, and then we end up on the eastern, like northeastern part, on a barge. Oh no. Oh, don't. Did I seriously get fucking stuck? Oh, okay. I was about to get very concerned.
Jade, this is Troy. Do you copy?
Go ahead, Troy.
Jade? Hey, it's Crane. Now, I know you're headed for Dr. Camden, but his clinic's surrounded by zombies and Rise's thugs, so just let me come and help you.
Crane, stay away from me. I hear your voice, and all I can see is my brother.
Please, just hear me out, okay? Look, the thing is, the GRE hired me, all right? I was supposed to find out where Rise sent this classified file, but that doesn't matter anymore because the Ministry contacted me. Jade, they were going to firebomb the city, but I talked them into waiting because they want that research that you're carrying. Now we need to figure out some way to let them know that we've got it.
Bastard. You bastard!
Jade? Jade! Damn it.
Yeah, man, just that little bit of dialogue from Jade just reminds me of just all the shit where it's like, you know, Crane just said a ton of things that were honest, truthful, helpful, and made it very obvious that he's on your side. And then Jade just calls him a bastard and fucks off because she's being a bitch. You know, it's that sort of thing where it's like, you're not endearing me to the character in moments like that.
Troy, this is Crane. Do you copy?
Crane, I was just about to contact you. Savvy broke through the jamming, and I think you better get back here. You have to see this.
Why? What do I have to see?
You have to see it for yourself. Just get back here, all right? I'm serious.
I always get annoyed when people do that shit where it's like, it's really important, but I can't bother to tell you over the phone. It's like, what's the fucking point of saying it's important if you're not going to tell me now? Oh, dang. You guys are so screwed. This is one thing, right? Those particular encounters I've ignored after attempting them several times just because before you had stuff like the bow and like other weapons, those encounters were just really tedious and you had a very high chance of failing them because of the lack of effective ranged weapons that you didn't have to craft a ton of in order to kill the Demolisher, right? The Demolisher as a mini-boss works, but when you place them in a group where they're supported by something else and you have to do it in a time limit, it's just the logistics of dealing with a Demolisher while also dealing with another special infected, while also dealing with the fact that you want to keep two survivors alive so that you can get their loot afterwards for saving them. It's just a clusterfuck. And it's a clusterfuck that doesn't need to be a clusterfuck. I was getting ready to rant about something from Dying Light 2 and I forgot what it was. Oh, yeah. I was going to rant about the stamina limitation in Dying Light 2. I thought was a really dumb decision. It's like you make a game like Dying Light, right, where just parkour is an integral part of the gaming experience, right, and you want to be able to do it as much as possible. And then you have parkour play an even bigger role in Dying Light 2. But at the same time, you have a stamina timer going on while you're climbing stuff. It's one of those things that is just like, we didn't have that in the first game, and it was fine. Why do we need it now? It was just a way to arbitrarily block off like getting certain places because you would literally get too tired before you like would get to the like you would literally get too tired and drop down and fail parkour because you ran out of stamina because you didn't have the skill set that you needed to reach a certain point. I hated that in Dying Light 2. It's such an arbitrary restriction, especially by comparison to what we can do in this game. Not to mention that Crane has been doing this parkour for, what, like I don't even know, like a few days, like 1 week by the time the story's over, right? If you don't count like just sitting and waiting for the day-night cycle to pass. And yet Aiden from Dying Light 2 has been doing it for years by that point. He should be better at parkour than Crane is. And he's not, because game mechanic change. And it's like, what the fuck? It's one of those moments that kind of like infuriates me about bad sequels that just screw stuff up. It's like you had potential. You really had potential. And then you know, it's one of those things where you just kind of sit there going, how do you fuck this up? You know? It's like, it's very, very simple. It's very simple. I can't wait to rant about Dying Light 2 when we get through there, because I remember it was really weird going through my highlight, like the best of for that game, because I just had so much to say about it after all the shit I had been dealing with you know, playing through the game and just different technical issues here and there. But I have very vivid memories of going through Dying Light 2 for the best of, like, highlight reel, and just being very underwhelmed at a lot of the shit involved, especially with some of the technical issues that the game had, right? Like, there were several moments where I was just like, I don't, like, how are these mechanics not working, you know? But, like, how are these different elements of the game not working? Did he just die on this because I shot him in the foot? I think he did. But yeah, it's just like, the failures of Dying Light 2 are unique, because it's like it's like almost all the elements of the game were done better in a previous release. And that sucks, because it just means the developers, like, it just means that they have, you know, you want a developer that has consistent patterns for success. You know, they're not just gonna, you know, like, you want to know that there's going to be a consistency there with the developers that make games, right? Even if they're not particularly good, if they're good at certain things and they stick to their guns and continue to be good at those things, that can be really nice as, like, a player who enjoys X, Y, or Z by whatever developer you're behind, right? But seeing the developers that made this game after Dead Island, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, they learned from their mistakes. And then they went and created a whole series of new mistakes by the end of Dying Light 2, and I was like, wow, that just sucks. That just hurts my spirit, you know? And I was like, wow, that's just not fun. It's just not fun to see a developer that you had faith in fall apart. And this is why I want to play the Beast on stream, is because I would like to get that experience and see how it is by comparison to the other games. You know, because I'm hoping that this will be a learning experience for them where they can, you know... I want this to be a learning experience for those particular devs where they can make the most of the goodwill they had with Dying Light and that they had with Dying Light 2. Because it seems like that they've had a lot of things... It seems like they've stuck with Dying Light 2 and repaired some of the mistakes, quote-unquote, from what I've heard. Like, they've continued to update it. They provided the same sort of post-launch content, sort of care and dedication that they had with Dying Light 1, which is a good sign. It means that they care about the game. They're not just going to dump it and go back to Dying Light. But at the same time, it is just, you know... I love Dying Light mechanically, for the most part. There are some things that needed to be ironed out, and there are things that they just can't change because, you know... Or that they don't really want to change just because, you know... You don't want to release a patch that severely affects the way your game functions. You know, that's typically not a good sign. It's just been a very weird experience being a fan of the Dying Light game. And then going back and playing Dead Island and being like, wow, they learned a lot when they made Dead Island. Or they learned a lot from making Dead Island when making Dying Light. And then they completely undid that stuff. They completely undid that when they made Dying Light 2. It was like, wow, they just... It feels like they're throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. And Dying Light, more things stuck than didn't. And then Dying Light 2 was just going back to things that stuck less. You know? And I think the biggest problem, too, is that Dying Light 2 had so much potential, given all the success of Dying Light and everything that they had that worked in Dying Light, right? Like, if they just copied Dying Light's mechanics and fixed some of the story issues and just made Dying Light 2 in a bigger world, that would have been a winner. Instant winner. As it stands now, they made a sequel that's bigger, but not better. Alright, everybody. Going loud and proud. I'm recording this in American Pride Month. It's great. And not the gay pride stuff. Can you imagine... This is totally off topic, but can you imagine if we had, like, a straight Pride Month? Just how annoying that would be? It's like, as a straight person, I don't give a shit if other people are, like... The thing about Pride Month is that it comes... The reason that people are annoyed by Pride Month is that it comes across as that one guy in high school who never shuts up about slaying pussy, right? It gives off that kind of energy where it's like, you cannot shut up about how sexually active you are in the thing that you do. And it's that sort of energy that kills it for regular people that don't care about that, right? Like regular gay people that don't flaunt it in the streets. They just want to... They just want to be gay and just live, right? They don't give a shit about anything else. And I feel bad for those gay people, because it's like the activists ruin it for everybody else by just making it all about, about parades and shit. Like, you don't see us having parades about being straight, right? Like, who wants even if you are straight, like, who wants a parade for being straight? It's like, we're straight, woohoo. Who gives a shit? Same thing with all the other fucking sexualities out there. It's like, who gives a shit? Like, why do you need to be validated for this? It's just... I love how I'm going off on, like, a pride rant in the middle of trying to, like, kill these guys. Yeah. Anyway, how are you guys doing? This is one thing I'm not a fan of as well with some of the skill tree stuff, is some of the skill tree stuff just doesn't feel... Like, it feels sort of like tacked on just to increase the number of levels you can gain and things that you get. I have so many throwables. I feel like I'm just going to collect a bunch of throwables until we get into a situation where we can use them all. Because I know that one area at the university is a really good spot to use throwables. But that also has a weird trippy bit and a massive unskippable cutscene, which is just lame. Unskippable cutscenes are a sin upon gaming. They should be punished with great aggression and other shit. Yeah, I really hate unskippable cutscenes. Especially unskippable cutscenes that appear out of nowhere. That's really annoying. I've not played a lot of Far Cry 5, but of the, like, 2 hours I did play it with a friend, that one sequence where just we were playing along and then just running around, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, cutscene. Cutscene for some reason, and I couldn't skip it either. It's just like, why do you do this to us, developers? Why do you do this sometimes? Nope. What are you doing, Crane? Stop it! Stop it! Oh, it's weird. Every time I get into water, I think of that moment in my Dying Light 2 initial walkthrough where I get into water, and then I cannot physically get out. It was one of those moments of like, what the fuck are you doing, game? You just won't let me.
There is a pungent nightshade that reveals itself only in the moonlight. The smolder of its embers enables the seeker to pierce the veil.
All out, are we?
Bring me several stalks of this plant.
Maybe I will. In the meantime, you should shut off the music. It draws attention.
Nothing enters that I do not wish. Now, I must prepare my mind.
I know he technically does do stuff in terms of, like, finding out where things are, but I would have found it funny if, like, the first half of this quest happens where we, doing his thing where he's acting all trippy and, like, I see things. And I would have loved it if we came back to his apartment and he was just brutally murdered by, like, some bandits or Rice's thugs or something. I always thought that would have been a funny play on the whole, like, psychic angle where it's like, oh, he's a psychic, he totally saw this coming. It's like, not really. He was just a little high, and that was kind of it. This is one thing I didn't like about... I feel like replaying this game is just a vehicle for me to rant about Dying Light 2, but I really didn't like how Dying Light 2's like night system worked by comparison to this one. Like the game funnels you into doing X, Y, or Z over and over and over unless you're intentionally looking to put yourself in a difficult situation in Dying Light 2. Whereas this one has like an ebb and flow between daytime combat and exploration and nighttime combat and exploration. We'll get into that more as we get through Dying Light 2. We still got a long way to go. This is one of those weird things about having a day-night cycle, like, in-game, is that it's kind of obvious that the timer is balanced, right, to give you a certain amount of time during the day and a certain amount of time during the night, and that time is not consistent with an actual, like, timer. You know, like Minecraft is a good example of this, right? The day-night cycle in that game is even, right? Like there's an even split of daytime and an even split of nighttime. You know, but here it's like the timer is like from, well, like 2100 hours to like 6 to 6, right? So about 7 hours. In-game, the timer is adjusted, right? Like the time looks like the time, but how fast it ticks on a clock is different. And that's always been a weird thing about games that have day-night cycles, is having that different sort of breakdown between, you know, how long is the actual time versus, you know, what we're dealing with right now, sort of a thing. I'm basically just using this as an excuse to not, you know, basically just to not go outside while it's night. This is a neat little thing, too, these two infected looking at this other one. I wonder if that's an intentional sort of reference to, you know, like, the storytelling going on here, right? Like, that one hung himself. This one clearly overdosed because of all, like, pills, and I guess those are pills. Are those, like, EpiPens or something? I don't know. It's just that sort of weird thing where, like, there's a bunch of little moments throughout this game that I think really help make the experience more interesting. That's one thing I will give these developers. They do a really good job of environmental storytelling, even if it's not, you know, the best version of that possible. But I mean, there's still a good bit. There's still a good bit around to enjoy from a environmental standpoint. I really like this game. I just think the biggest flaws are just really just come back to story. 90% of the time, they usually come back to the story. Just the story. The main story is the weakest part of this game, and that sucks. Because the main story is where you're stuck with people. You know, characters in different... there's nothing more annoying than when you have a game that has good mechanics, good stories in it, but it always focuses on the worst stuff. You know what I mean? It's just like it's like this game, right? This game's got great side content, great mechanics, great way to have fun, great world to explore. The main story sucks. The main villain sucks. Several of the main characters suck, right? It's just one of those things where there's so much there to have fun with. There's just so much annoying shit because of the main story sucking and the characters within that being just stupid, for lack of a better word. One thing I'm also not a fan of in games is when they do the whole spooky flashlight thing where it's like, oh, it's fading, it's flickering, it's getting worse as you go, and it's like, it's like you have all that happening, but then when I turn it off and turn it back on, it works fine. It's like it undermines the horror when you create such an arbitrary sort of like lighting effect. Now, one thing I'm not a fan of is the shockwave effect of these guys' like melee attack. Very weird. What the how did okay. And you're still alive. Great. Oh wait, no. Okay. That was fun. This is one of those stories that really touches me, though, that Rupert's like watching all these kids, and he and his wife were watching over them for a long time, but, you know, just things don't go their way. you know, and he loses his wife and stuff like that, you know, on a mission to like help kids out. It's just one of those moments that kind of gets to me, you know, of, you know, losing your significant other while you're doing, you know, what is considered sort of great good, you know, watching after all these kids whose parents have turned and are shambling around the streets. Like this is what I'm talking about, right? Like there are so many good little stories in here, but the story's bogged down by just the main villain sucking, and the drama with the Aldemirs sucking, and the whole, like, being a pawn of greater people's thing that hangs over the main story just ruins the tension and the characterization and the world building that you get in the smaller side missions. It's just a shame, really. It really is just a shame that so much good stuff in the game is sort of pushed to the side while the main story is just lame in a lot of parts. See, these little moments, it's like, there's more good storytelling in this dead body next to a picture of her family than there is in the content with Rice. And that just sucks. Just flat out sucks. There's just... I don't think I'll ever get over how bad Rice is as a villain. He's the villain that you simultaneously want to shut up and leave the story, but you also want to choke him personally, because you hate him that much. I've been tempted to write... you know what's funny, actually? I got an idea to... I'm the kind of guy that loves to keep ideas for storytelling for later. And so I've got like a shit ton of notes in my phone about just different story ideas I've come up with over the years. And one of the big ones that I'd like to tackle is a zombie story, but I want to tackle it in a way that I saw some Asian... I don't know what country it's from, but I saw something on YouTube one day about this one movie about a guy in some Asian country. Again, I don't know. I barely skimmed past it. A video talking about it. But he basically lives in an apartment, and the zombie outbreak happens, and he's trapped in the apartment, and so he just kind of exists in the apartment, and he deals with the different zombie threats that sort of come up in and around the apartment. And as he's doing that, he's just kind of locked in there, and he's just trying to survive, you know? And it's a scenario where it's a nice change of pace from the zombie shit we typically get. You know what I mean? We're always, you know, we're always at a mall, or we're on the street running from them, or we're dealing with just a horde of zombies overwhelming us in the streets or in the woods or something. You know, it's nice to take a very small environment and then do a different sort of story based on the zombie sort of threat, right? It's one of the things that I love personally about zombies is that the threat is so malleable to the different stories that you want to tell that you've got so many options for storytelling that it just seems like a lot of people just don't do because it's easier to, you know, because it's easier to do X, Y, or Z with it as opposed to doing like an interesting story based on, you know, like there's so many opportunities to do good zombie storytelling, but you just have to do it. You know, like there's so much you can do with zombies in all kinds of different settings, but it seems like we gravitate towards like the top like 5% of ideas, and that just sucks, right? Like, and it's good to see that like a lot of people in the East are experimenting and doing different things, sort of with the zombie idea, right? You know, like it's great to see that people are exploring the alternatives to just a bunch of zombies attacking a place and we're holding out against them, right? You know, it's nice to see alternatives to the big set pieces that we've kind of gotten used to in the zombie environment, where it's like a crowded city, you know, going through the streets, or it's, you know, hunkering down at like a mall, you know, or like some other building that has tons of supplies, and like a Walmart or whatever. It's nice to get out of those sort of environments and get more into, just get more into more interesting environments where you have to write in interesting ways to account for the fact that we've got issues with, or to account with the zombie issues in different environments. You know, like, and the reason I brought this whole thing up about like the Asian movie about guys stuck in an apartment is what I thought would have been like an interesting thing is like imagine like a neighborhood, like a sort of like a suburban neighborhood where a zombie outbreak happens in the nearby like town, right? And then you just have shenanigans ensue because of the people involved around that environment, right? Like the different, like what would happen with all the neighbors and stuff, maybe turning on each other, all the shit that would come as a result of all this. Just there's great potential in a lot of different zombie stories. It just feels like there's a lot of things that are lacking when it comes to zombie stories. We tend to gravitate towards the same like 5 ideas over and over and over. And it's nice to see them in different environments that you see in a lot of different Asian things that I've seen of late, where it's like you see them on a train, and that's the whole like thing, or you see them in an apartment, like that story that I saw, right? It's nice to see a change of pace. One other thing too about Dying Light that has kind of annoyed me is how you've got all these different sort of like lore stories that happen. It's like, hey, look, here's this survivor who has this tragic story, and it's like we don't do much with that, sometimes because it's just I just completely blanked on what I was saying while I was saying it. That sucks.
Now he's going to stay here and be your protector while I administer the elixir to Isla.
Well, now, hang on, wait.
I won't be long.
This is one of those weird things, right? They keep misspelling. Like, there's a disconnect between the name being spoken Isla and the name that is written, which is Alia or Alaya, right? I gotta wonder who fucked up here. It's like, is the voice actor fucking up over and over and over, or did the subtitles person fuck up over and over and over? Because this is more than an accident at this point. They've continually either misspoke it or miswrote it in the subtitles. For some reason, every time I get this quest, I think of that. I keep thinking of the line from I forget which Harry Potter movie it is or something, but like McGonagall's saying something for the boy, and I don't know why, but that always pops in my head every time I see this quest like title pop up. I don't really know why. It's a confusing thing my brain does where it links sounds to things that don't relate to that sound whatsoever. It happened to Dying Light a lot, where I'd like be listening to music while grinding points, and then it would show up again later. See, this is one of those quests where I think the best drama that comes out of zombie stuff is how the zombie threat accentuates the different problems that you face regarding the people you care about, right? This is one reason why The Walking Dead got really boring to me, and one reason why this game suffers from this, and other zombie games suffers, because they make the zombies the threat in the first half or the first chunk of the game, and then you start dealing with bad people. And bad people in a zombie apocalypse can be interesting, right? I'm not saying that that's a flat out bad thing, but the zombie apocalypse is a great way to elicit drama from interpersonal relationships about people that you love, right? Because one of the scariest things about zombification, right, whether it's actually becoming a zombie or whether it's something like that, like the Borg in Star Trek or something like that, something where you lose your autonomy and you lose yourself to some virus or some infection or some other like hive mind collective that takes you away from you. That kind of stuff is what scares the shit out of people about zombies. It's not necessarily about getting like eaten alive or like not being you anymore, right? It's the fact that you are going to deal with people that look like your family, right? That look like your parents, that look like your friends, that look like your spouses, like your spouse, your kids, your brothers, your sisters, people you knew, and they're going to be ravenously coming after you. And that's a great source of drama for any character in a given situation, right? And just so many zombie stories just fall back on the zombies becoming an issue just because they kill you. And they don't play on the emotional attachment of that very often anymore, in my experience. This is one thing that the Dying Light series has not done well with so far is, like, a lot of the side missions deal with this sort of emotional hang-up on the people that become zombies. It's not just that the zombies are trying to kill you, it's what the zombies, it's who the zombies used to be, and how people becoming zombies breaks people's hearts. And I've always found that to be the most interesting element of zombies. You know, it's just how it affects your personal how it deals with your personal connections to other people. And just so many times they just evolve them into just ruthless killing machines. It's like every zombie that we see used to be a person. They used to have a family. They used to have something, and people lost that person, or the entire family fell apart and became zombies, right? And it's just I feel like we don't play enough on the tragedies of those sort of losses because of the zombie outbreak. It usually devolves into just they're mindless killing machines that we need to just kill, or we devolve into the zombies are a threat, but the real threat are these bad people that are doing X, Y, or Z. It's like, I want more stories like this, right? Where it's people trying to survive the zombie apocalypse and they lose somebody close to them. And they just can't deal with it. And it's heartbreaking, right? Like, I want a zombie story where I can feel, right? And so many of them I just don't feel much because it's not really about the zombies and how those affect people you care about. It becomes faceless after a while. And this story is not faceless. It's very much like guy trying to take care of kids who lost their parents to the infected, and he hopes they don't see them wandering the streets. He's also lost his own wife, and he's trying to deal with that by just ignoring it and hoping people go away to let him grieve on his own. You know, it's very real. It's a very real sort of emotional response to that sort of situation. And it's a shame that we don't get this often in these games. This is one thing about this troll quest that always got me, is like the guy down there, like I always forget the name of the infected, right? The guys with the huge, the guys with the slow dudes that like have the big hammer weapon, right? I always forget if those guys are called like brutes or something, but those guys, right? I always feel like this quest should have been about one of those guys, and the Demolisher being added just doesn't make sense. Like how is a Demolisher in this building, and how does he stay in that building when it's very obvious that he can break through the wall, like when the time comes? It's just a really, really weird moment of how does this even work this way? One of my favorite ways to deal with these little shits, blow them up. Little bastard had it coming. It's been an eventful recording, which I guess is good. You don't want a boring recording, but sometimes that just happens because I'm not the type of guy just to make up things to overreact to. I hate that when people play games and they overreact to everything. It's really annoying. It cheapens the reactions that you would genuinely have when someone just goes, "Whoa, it's crazy, whoa!" Like every time a jump scare happens in a horror game with like 6 million jump scares in it. It's like eventually you just gotta become numb to it. I always wondered what this would look like from like a zombies POV. You know, just zombies just start falling over randomly. Like I try to imagine what it would look like from our POV of just a crowd of people, and then all of a sudden they just start dropping dead, right? And you have no idea what's causing it. Got a long, long way to go. I would consider myself a fan of Def Leppard. This is gonna be a random just music meme for a minute, but I would consider myself a fan of Def Leppard. I like a fair bit of their stuff, and I have all their studio releases. But it's one of those things where my friend and I meme the shit out of Joe Elliott's, like, the sort of raspy, like, layered voice. Because it's such a perfect voice for Cartman to sing in from South Park, you know? You know, the singer of, you know, the Def Leppard sounds like, "Your long way to give." You know, it sounds like that. And Cartman sounds like, "No, kid, it's a bad kid." You know, there's a certain layering of that works when you combine the two. And I've never seen if South Park did it, but I always felt like South Park with Cartman getting into like a Def Leppard craze would be one of the funniest things they could do with him in terms of like musical parody. And I've never heard of it, so it's a shame if that never happened. And if it did happen, I want to find out where it is because I'd love to see that. Oh man, they could even do it where they they have a band of 5 members with Kenny in it. And then Kenny gets his arm ripped off in an accident. He's like, hey, now we're authentic. And then he gets killed.
I'll be fine. Just help David. That's all that matters.
It's always weird seeing other cultures, like, versions of words that you pronounce them differently in your own culture. You know, it's like Jesus in English, you know, but a lot of like Hispanic cultures turn it into Jesus. And it's like, I get it, but why? You know, it's like my first name is Zach, right? So it's like, I don't expect different cultures to start pronouncing it Zoc, you know, like sock or something. You know, it's like names have like a certain pronunciation, and it's a weird thing seeing different cultures remold the words into their own cultural version of it. Then again, I probably don't have room to talk as an American. I mean, we're like one of the youngest civilizations on the planet, so it's not really fair for me to say that my way of viewing it should be absolute. I'm gonna say it anyway, though, because fuck every other nation. I'm kidding. I love the world. I love the people in the world. I just wish that some nations would get their heads out of their asses. This is one thing that I am looking forward to, is being able to get back into the world of Dying Light 2, because I know a lot about the Dying Light world, which means a lot of the traversal is sort of, it's not really hampered by that fact, but it is one of those things where it's like, I kind of know where everything is, so there's very little exploration that actually happens. Like, it's not exploration for the thrill of discovery, it's exploration because I need items, and I know the items are in these types of containers here and there, you know. But like the thrill of exploration is sort of diminished because I know where a lot of stuff is. But Dying Light 2, I know that in a far lower sort of scale, so. Hello, David. Or David. David?
Thanks.
David.
I owe you.
David.
Who are you?
I can hear that zombie behind me. She's never gonna get her child support. Never! Oh, whoops. What the fuck? I'm behind cover, game. What the fuck was that? This is one of those sequences where it's just like, you may as well have just had this be a cutscene instead of making me wander around and just interact with doors I can't open most of the time. It's just one of those sequences that is just frustrating as a player of video games to enjoy. This really is one of those sequences where it's like, why is this in the game? This is just one of those sequences where it's like, does everybody who's infected go through this? Like, is this what they think they're doing when they're infected? Like, I don't know. It's not very clear in the game what they actually experience. Boy, I sure do miss the character that didn't work with us most of the game and kind of inadvertently caused her own problems. Boy, I feel bad. I also hate our gear disappearing. Don't you love these arbitrary fights where it's just like, hey, we included a boss fight that you could wreck if you had all your gear, so we're just going to take away your gear. Because. Encounter. Enjoy it. Every time I hear about radars being jammed, all I can think of is that Spaceballs clip. It's like, radar about to be jammed. Just throw a giant jar of jam at the radar dish. It's very dumb, but that's why it's funny. It's kind of funny how this area doesn't have much to it besides the main quest, but they bothered to incorporate this last little bit of the Vulcan doll stuff into this one sort of section. I always found that to be a kind of a funny little detail, how they incorporated just one extra side quest in here just to add extra oomph to the overall thing. Why can't I use my grappling hook, game? What the fuck? Ah, damn it, game. Just damn it. I can use my grappling hook to use it in a lot of different ways, across a lot of different places. Why couldn't I fucking do it here? Here we go. Winding up. Daddy's ready to shoot. Well, I can't shoot Rice, but I like to think I can. I like to believe I could in some alternate reality where we could have a better ending than what we got. Rice really does just bring the whole game down when I really get down to it. It's just his gimmick doesn't work with the whole philosophy angle. The story's not told in a way where it's convincing, given that, you know, we do things that actively, you know, do. He's just a bad villain, and he just won't shut up. Those are two horrible things to combine.
I know.
The one funny thing is, like, when games do this, where it's like, yes, this is the finale. You cannot go back. I really wish we could use our weapons in boss fights. It feels like a lot of the boss fights in the game are just... they're all just lame because they depower you, or they're just QTEs like this. Like, we have weapons. Why are we not using them here? Why? Alright. Skip this shit, we did it. Alright, good deal. Good deal. Alright, we didn't finish the game. At least not the way I would have liked to have finished it with max stats and stuff. But anyway, we can get into the following next, but we're going to do that in the next recording. I'm genuinely wondering how many of these recordings we'll get through before the game's done. If I only end up doing like one of them live, I'm actually going to laugh about it. I think it'll be funny. But that's going to be the end of this one, or of this recording. So prepare for the following next time.